Today we're going to just talk a little bit about the Bernina stitch regulator. It's also called the BSR. And on our group and also in my messages and emails, I've gotten some questions. And I am not very proficient with the BSR, but I have used it and I do like it. There are some tricks and tips I want to give you today to using it that will help you improve your confidence with it, and also to get you started. If you have never done free motion quilting, there might be some tips in this little video that will even help you if you want to try that. The BSR, I believe, is unique to Bernina. I think Bernina is the only machine that offers a foot that is a stitch regulator foot. And I have the 770, so mine came with my machine. Comes in a cute little tin, you can see that here. And you get quite a bit of information, and I always keep all those things together. And it comes in a foam cushion on the inside of the little tin to keep it safe. This foot, I believe, is between $900 and $1,000. So I always keep mine, when I'm not using it, nice and safe in its little bed here in the foam. Comes with 3 feet. This one is a closed toe foot. And let me see if I can get that one back in there. And this one is my favorite. This one is so that you can follow and do echo quilting. You can run this along the previous line and do echo quilting, and you've got a guide kind of to go by. But the reason I like it is because I can go over the outside edge of a quilt. If I want to go all the way off the quilt, I can go over and it won't catch on anything. If you're using the other feet, the tendency to catch is pretty high. So we're going to use this foot today. And the foot that actually comes attached to your stitch regulator is the open toe. This is the closed toe, and this is the open toe. You can see a little better with this. And of course, you're going to be connecting your BSR, and it is on the back of the machine, just right above where the foot will attach. And it even has BSR by the little spot where you plug it in, so you'll know you're plugging it into the right place. So let's do that. First of all, I'm going to take this foot off, and it's really easy to switch these feet. These two little buttons right here, we just push those in and the foot comes off. I'll store that in here, and then the other foot just snaps on. And there you go. So let's move this out of the way, and I'll hook my foot up. And I'm going to get ready to plug this in. Okay, I've got the foot on, and I'm going to plug this in. And when I do, my screen's going to change on my machine, and it's going to ask me to be sure and hold on. Hope I can do this. I'm not looking at it, so I'm feeling for it. Hold on, I'm just about there. There we go, I think. Maybe not. Okay. So now my machine is recognizing that it has the BSR on, and you can see I've got a straight stitch and a zigzag stitch that I can use. I've never used it with the zigzag. I've always just used the straight stitch, but I know there must be uses for it. It also has a mode 1 and a mode 2, and my all-time favorite is mode 1. So now let me, it didn't prompt me because I already had my feed dogs lowered. Apparently you can use this with your feed dogs up, but Bernina does not recommend it. So mine are down, and I'm going to put the camera back down, and we are going to try to do just a little figure 8 sort of a thing, and I'll show you how to grab a little control and enjoy using this wonderful foot. A couple of tips to help you enjoy your BSR more are to be sure and have some kind of slick surface on the bed of your machine. I have this is a Sew Steady table, and I have the big one, and this is a Sew Steady cling. This is called a slider, and it just peels up, and I roll it up and keep it in a tube when I'm not doing free motion quilting or using my BSR. But something really slickery right here will help you a lot. You have to be able to move your fabric with some consistent movement, and it does take some practice, and I actually practiced on paper. I took a long time ago when I first started doing this, I took a piece of paper and a marker, and I just squiggled all over the paper, and then I took it to my machine and went all over the squiggles on the paper, and I just practiced and practiced until I was able to think ahead just a few stitches. I can't always do that, but was thinking ahead a few stitches, and that way I could turn corners very smoothly. And another thing that most people don't realize is that Bernina machines at their highest speed can only stitch 1,000 stitches a minute. And so if you try to go too fast with your BSR, your machine's going to complain, and it'll beep at you, and your stitches will just be a pretty big disaster. So you have to teach yourself to go a little bit slower. But one thing you can do that will help if you want to, I've never tried this, but I know it works. This bottom knob right here is what controls the stitch length, which is over here. So if you want to get more stitches per minute out of the machine, you can increase the stitch lengths. You see I'm turning my knob and the stitch length is getting longer, and you can put that up to maybe 3, or you could try 3.5, but you just increase your stitch length. The default, I believe, is 2.00. So if you increase your stitch length, you will maybe get a little bit smoother run, especially if you're going right along and you've figured out how to go at a consistent speed that's quite a little bit faster than I'm going to do in this video. Okay, so I have pulled up my bobbin thread, and I'm using a navy blue top thread so you can see a little bit better, and I've got a hold of my threads, and I'm working in mode 1. The difference between mode 1 and mode 2 is that mode 1 you have control over starting and stopping, and mode 2 the needle will continue to stitch and you have to stop it. Also, something really, really important to remember is that your foot control is not controlling the speed with which your needle is piercing the fabric. The stitches are not being controlled. The speed of your sewing is not being controlled by your foot pedal. It's being controlled by how fast and how slowly you move your fabric. There is a little camera right under here, and it is constantly looking at the fabric, and so it realizes when you speed up or when you slow down. So I'm going to not use my foot pedal, some do, and get along fine with it, and that's great. I think it just all depends on what kind of comfort level you have with your foot control, and well, I can't seem to get my brain to work right if I use my foot pedal. So I'm going to use my start and stop button. And when I do this, my start button makes my presser foot go down, but there's no red light. So my foot isn't working. You have to have the red light so that your presser foot is working. So we're going to press the start button and hold it, and the red light came on. So now, if I move the fabric, it'll start stitching. And I do not have my foot on my presser foot at all. And like I told you before at the beginning of the video, I am not very adept at this. I don't do it often enough, but if someone did this quite a bit, you could get really smooth at it, and you could really become talented at using the BSR. But all those stitches that you see going into I'm just practicing on the batting. There is backing behind there, but all those stitches are very even, and on the back they will be too. So we'll stop. My red light's still on, so I have to turn my foot off. So I'm going to raise it, and the red light went off, and now I can even lower it and use my thread cutter. Probably most people would want to pull the thread to the top and then, knot it on the back. But there's the back side, and I don't have my yellow bobbin case in. If I did, this would look much prettier. The yellow bobbin case is a higher tension case, and it is meant for embroidery and free motion quilting. So if you were using your yellow bobbin case, the back would look really pretty. So that's a quick demonstration of the BSR. I hope this helped, and if you have any questions, please just post, send me a message, or comment, and we'll get your questions answered. Have a great day sewing.